Hello, my name is Simon O'Connor and I'm the director here at DERA International School. And DERA International School is part of the Al Futtaim Education Foundation. The thing I'm going to talk to you about today is, I think, a very important one, and it's the way in which schools have changed, but also how parents can support their children in their learning. When I was at school, we did lots of work and we received feedback from the teachers, but generally it was a mark out of 10 or a grade and maybe a comment that went alongside it. One of the things that's changed most significantly in all the years since that was the case is the feedback and the assessment that students at all ages receive in the school. What we now ensure we do is make sure that students are very clear about where they are, where they're going, and how they get there. What I mean by that is that all students will have some form of assessment that establishes a target. And whatever key stage they're in, that may be a GCSE grade, it may be an IB grade, or similarly in key stages 1 and 2, it may simply say this is where we're expecting a student to get to by the end of that phase. We also provide students with regular feedback as to where they are now. Often this is called a working at grade. It's important to point out with working at grades that they don't stay the same. Students don't learn in a straight line. A really good example of that would be in PE, for example. You might have a student that's very good at football, but that doesn't mean they can swim. And so they would have a high grade in football and then something lower in swimming. But the same thing works with other subjects. For example, in maths, a student might be very good at trigonometry, but less so in algebra. In English, they might be very good in English literature, but less so in some of the English language components. And that works with every subject. So don't presume that a student who is successful at one point and maybe getting, let's say, a B grade, is always going to get a B grade moving forward. The most important one, I think, is what's called a predicted or anticipated grade. And what that is saying is, if the student keeps working as they are, with all the support that a school will give, this is where they're likely to end up. And when you put that next to the target grade, it shows that they're on track or not to achieve what they're capable of. The other thing that we will constantly be telling students is what they need to do next. So where they are now, and if they're going to make the next step, what they need to do, how they need to change what they're doing, what they need to improve. So at all times, students should be able to tell you where they're heading, where they are now, and how they move that forward. It's really important that students understand it, and I know that parents want to understand it too. So a good school, and I'm confident we do this here, will be constantly communicating that. But often the first person to ask is the student themselves. Do they know where they are, and do they know how to improve? Another thing to look at is the way in which we assess work. A lot of parents rightly understand that we will sit end-of-year tests, end-of-year exams, and regular assessments. But that's not the only thing that we use. Teachers will be using constant feedback, constant performance of the students to assess their working at grade. So that will include exams and tests, but also specific pieces of work, whether it's an essay or a specific calculation. Maybe in science it's an experiment. In technology it could be some form of construction. But also they will be using the day-to-day performance of a student in class, how they respond to lessons, how they work with others, to assess the whole range of skills that students need to exhibit. And it's that whole package that will lead to a student's performance and lead to that working at grade. So again, it's not the case that one piece of work determines it, it's the ongoing performance of the student. So I hope that's clear. Schools will always have this conversation with parents and help to explain this. But it is, I think, the way in which schools have changed most markedly in the last 20 years, and it's really important that parents can understand that.